else at the dais? We've got the Honorable Chuck Schumer, the Honorable Andrew Cuomo, the Honorable Mike Bloomberg, the Honorable Bill de Blasio, the Honorable David Dinkins, and so many other wonderful elected officials. And we have Rudy Giuliani. Now, many don't know this, but Rudy actually got his start as a prosecutor, going after wealthy New Yorkers who avoided paying taxes. But as the saying goes, if you can't beat him, go on Fox News and call him a genius. So as I've said, we've now had our third and thankfully final debate. Sharing a stage with Donald Trump is like, well, nothing really comes to mind. There is nothing like sharing a stage with Donald Trump.
Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the panel and your phone calls, 877-NEWSMAX, 877-639-7629. And joining us on said panel, Roger Simon, co-founder of PJ Media, award-winning novelist, and Peter Morici, syndicated columnist, economist at the University of Maryland. Gentlemen, welcome. So let me ask you, Roger, that gratuitous shot at Rudy Giuliani, what the heck was that all about last night?
Anger. She hates Rudy Giuliani, and most of the audience now, most of the people there at the dinner now agree with her. So she was just playing to that choir. You know what was great about that particular dinner thing? Did you see how the seats were all arranged so that they faced the camera? Ever been to a dinner like that?
I can't say that I have, but maybe
it was so bizarre to look at it. I mean, it was like everything was for consumption
well, it's
of
funny.
the public, not for the.
It's funny, Roger, because Peter Morici only attends dinners where they have that kind of setup where everybody faces the camera. So, Peter, what was your take on the dinner and Julie and the knock and the attack, vicious attack on Giuliani?
Well, first of all, you can't have a dinner with Chuck Schumer without him being on camera. Let's be clear.
True.
But my feeling is that given the rancor that we've had, and I mean, Trump calling for Hillary to be put in jail and Hillary calling a quarter of the voting population deplorable, perhaps more, I think it was impossible to have a traditional Al Smith dinner without enmity and for Trump to look good. Because let's face it, you know, New York is not a place where you find lots of Republicans or conservatives or people of that ilk. My feeling is the only way it could have turned out well is if the two really declared a ceasefire and they sat down and someone scripted both of them, someone neutral. And that wasn't going to happen because the staffs themselves view each other with such contempt that it would be impossible for them to script these candidates appropriately. Let's face it, they don't have time to write an Al Smith dinner speech.
Right. Let me ask you, Roger, let's go to the brouhaha after the third debate about not accepting the election results. Of course, he clarified that yesterday. Anybody with the brain knew what he meant. At least I knew what he meant. But he did clarify it yesterday and brought up Al Gore as an example of why you don't sign away your right to contest an election. But your piece at PJ Media was titled "Outrage or Genius." So which was it?
Well, I don't think it was either, really, but it was also kind of obvious. I mean, as you said, you can't sign it away now. The other thing is that this is just after the release of the Project Veritas tapes, in which we saw that the Democratic National Committee is involved in the worst kind of sinister hanky-panky, trying to create violence at Trump rallies.
Yep.
Now, that really, this isn't exactly the kind of normal election we hope we have. So, of course, he should keep his options open. No one knows what's going to happen now. I mean, anyone who says they do, all right, they're Nostradamus, but I include myself out of that.
Peter, let me put that same question to you. Outrage or genius in what Trump did with that statement, that answer?
It was just dumb. That's all it was dumb. It was something that was discussed within his campaign. That's obvious because four of his principal surrogates, for example, Giuliani, said that he would accept the outcome. That meant that they had discussed it. So he would be able to answer that question in a more effective way, and he just chose not to. He went off the reservation again. And
You know,
he
I'm
seemed
not so sure that's true. I hate to
okay.
interject.
Well, fine, but let me get my point out. My feeling is that saying it the way he did, that should have been vetted inside the campaign because they knew the question was coming, and they knew how the answer that he gave would appear the next day in headlines. I mean, when you get asked that critical question, you have to say, what do I want across the front page of America's newspapers? And that was not considered very well, or if it was considered, he didn't take the advice.
Right, Roger?
Okay, here's why I'm not sure you're right.
Okay.
Every time people say that Trump has just sunk himself with some kind of bizarre comment, it turns out that his numbers don't go down. In some cases, they even go up. And what this did was it created a discussion and reminded people of the Al Gore thing. And it reminded people also of how bad the Democratic Party can be in their subversion of the process. So it opened up a discussion, and we're yet to see exactly how this plays out. I mean, look, Trump is definitely a wild card, and he's a strange candidate. But, you know, these are horrible times, and maybe that's what we need.
No.
I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen. I mean, the Brexit
I'd like to
effect
pick up
take
on that.
hold.
All right.
I'd like to pick up on that. My feeling is that there's a decent shot that Hillary's going to win this thing now. But what she's going to win isn't clear. I doubt that she's going to have legitimacy and a mandate because of the way she's conducted herself, the questions that have been raised about her character, the notion that she's going to be president of all the people when she calls Donald Trump's supporters deplorable, the condescension and contempt which even professionals on her side view others. The other night, I was on the BBC, doing the debate, and a young, surrogate for Clinton, an advocate, who I'd been on with before, her body language to me in the studio was quite clear. She didn't view me as someone who disagreed with her or on the other side of a political debate, but rather someone with whom she holds considerable contempt. Now, it's going to be hard for Hillary to come forward the way Obama did, President Obama did, and say, well, I want this health care program because the people said they wanted it by electing me. She did not create for herself in the debates a mandate by steering clear of all this personality stuff. How many times did she say, when you go low, I go high? And then when given the chance,
She goes low. Right.
You're right on that.
Told her on that.
Roger,
I want
go
to add
ahead.
one thing to this. There's one thing, and that is a real wild card. The WikiLeaks thing is not over. And if she wins, it may get worse. If I were Julian Assange, I would be saving my worst stuff for after the election.
That's interesting. And WikiLeaks promised a Donna Brazile and Vice Presidential candidate Senator Kaine that there's a lot more to come on them. And I want to put up one such email that was released. First, we got a tweet. This is the duplicity of what's said in public and what's then allegedly emailed. Here we have Donna Brazile tweeting out, under President Obama, the economy has experienced a record 70 straight months of private sector jobs growth, over 14 million jobs. But in close proximity, she's writing to John Podesta, as we put up the WikiLeaks email. And this is from, February of this year. I think people are in more despair about how things are. Yes, new jobs, but they are low-wage jobs. Housing is a huge issue. Most people pay half of what they make to rent. So, Peter, they go around publicly telling us, oh, the economy, whoa, it's great. And apparently even they know it's not so great.
Oh, it's not. I mean, Ronald Reagan created just so many more jobs in a smaller economy and had a much more robust recovery. And you know something? He had a deeper hole to dig out of. His peak unemployment rate was 10.8. Obama's was only 10. But you have to remember, we have to go back. This isn't just Hillary versus Trump. We have to go back a year, 18 months. Democrats had a choice who they'd rally around. And Clinton became the presumptive candidate very quickly because people like Podesta and Brazile and the others, they were very comfortable, even though knowing Hillary well, they knew what kind of snake she is. They chose to hoist on America such a flawed individual.
Yep.
And my feeling is this tells us something not about Democrats generally or the people that vote for her generally, because there's many reasons to vote for her that I understand. Okay. But it's the fact that the people very close to her our people have questionable
All
moral.
right, I couldn't agree more.
I
Roger,
couldn't agree
30
more.
seconds,
I
Roger.
couldn't
Go ahead.
agree more. It's a very, very,
So what
very
kind of
sad.
Wait,
mandate
let
does
Roger
she
go. I got
have?
30 seconds. Go ahead, Roger.
The system has become real. You know, when Trump talks about the rigged system, okay, it's hyperbole, okay, all of that. But in a very sad way, what Peter is referring to is a kind of a rigged system. I mean, the Podestas of the world are manipulating from behind the scenes and using ugly people in the metaphorical sense, like Clinton, to get their way. And the whole thing is sinister. And we're in a very bad moment.
We
You know
are.
what?
We are in a bad way. Hey, guys, I got to go. Roger, the name of Roger's book is I Know Best by Roger Simon. Roger Simon, Peter Morici, thank you. Bill Donahue will be here from the Catholic League next.